right, good day to you. My name is Fred Oakman, and as always, with me today is Mr. Jake Peters. We are PS This Is Awesome, a PlayStation podcast. This is episode 153. This is a show where we share our feelings about the current state of PlayStation. So welcome to the show. If you're a first-time listener, we're happy to have you. If you've been with us through this crazy, tumultuous period, thanks for sticking with us. But before we get on with the show, I want to invite you all to subscribe to the channel on YouTube and visit our Twitter and Tumblr page. Our Tumblr, I believe, is psthisisawesome.tumblr.com. If you want to make fun of our trophy list on the PSN, you can find me at anchorless_81 and Mr. Jake Peters at jakesaw01. And as always, you can write the show at psthisisawesome@gmail.com. And most importantly, don't forget to share this show with your friends and be sure to leave comments and rate the podcast as you see fit. That's the only way people are going to find us, Jake, is if people are talking about the show. And right now, not a whole lot of people are talking about the show. But we keep trudging on because that's what we do. This is a labor of love. We talked about it last show. We are happy to be here and happy to be talking video games. I know there are people who listen, so thank you for being here with us. Jake, I just purchased Tetris Effect last week, and I apparently called you really late. I pulled off the headset, and I called, and your wife answered the phone, and she was like, why in the hell are you calling my husband so late? And I was like, what the fuck time is it? And it was like, I don't know, it must have been like 10:30, 11 o'clock. But, dude, that's the one thing about VR, dude, is like, you put the headset on, you just lose track of all time. I had no idea how long I was in the headset, like in the VR world. But Tetris Effect is awesome. I'm planning on beating the last episode of Life is Strange 2 this week, and I did try the Call of Duty Cold War multiplayer alpha, and I think I might have already talked about that, but I tried that for one round and I got rid of it. No, what I did do, sorry, let me go back a little, let me backstep a little bit. I played Tetris Effect and I played and beat the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 remake that we got for free on Plus, and that's actually a really good Call of Duty game, the story.
Did you play the first Modern Warfare remaster?
Yeah, I did that one because that was free. We got that one free, and then we got Modern Warfare 2 free. And 2 is the one where you actually get attacked, like the suburbs. There's a couple missions where you're like in the suburbs, and like you just see like suburbia on fire and burning, and like you have to go to the White House and stuff, and like protect it. And pretty cool. Like I've played it before, but I forgot how interesting it was. And the remake or the remaster, it's a remaster, I think. It's not a remake. But it looked good. It looked real good. I had a good time playing it. And again, Tetris Effect is bonkers. And let me just go into it just a tad, and then I want to hear what you're doing. But Tetris Effect is like one of those games. It's VR, but it's Tetris. And the thing that's really interesting about it is you were a big fan of, you and I are both big fans of Thumper, and we're both like really big fans of, oh gosh, what's the game where you make those sound shapes? So Tetris Effect kind of melds all of that idea into Tetris. And essentially the game of Tetris is the same. I think there's one mechanic that they change where you can actually stop time temporarily if you build up your meter and then just try to get as many lines as possible. They'll keep feeding you new Tetris pieces. You just have to try to fit them in as quick as you can before the time meter runs out and the game starts picking back up and dropping the pieces, because Tetris, when they drop faster increments the further you get into it. So if it gets a little too hard and you have your meter built up, you can just pause it essentially, and it'll still feed you the pieces, but it doesn't drop them. So you have the time to like kind of sort your shit out underneath. And then when the meter runs out, it's just full bore again. So, but the interesting thing is with the music, Jake, and I think you'd really appreciate this, and you need to try it next time you're over, the sound kind of syncs up with what you're doing. So when you're twisting the pieces clockwise or counterclockwise, it makes sounds that just fit somehow to the soundtrack of the level, which is really neat. And then when you drop them and you make lines, it kind of just adds to the auditory thing that's going on in the headset. It's cool. So the game board itself isn't like really 3D. It's not like the pieces come at you like in a 3D way. The game board is still kind of 2D, but there are 3D backgrounds and stuff in the foreground, like different things. And it's really well made. I don't know that it's worth full price, and I got it on sale I think for $19.99, which I think is a fair price for it. And you can tell they put a lot of time into the game, but it's pretty cool, man. It's just another good use of VR. Jake, what are you playing?
Right now I'm playing Halo 5, and as soon as I beat that, I'll be all caught up. I will have played all of the Halo games through again, I guess. I've never played 5 before because it was the the only one that was on 360 or whatever. But
yeah, you sound really loud. Just so you know, it sounds louder. Did you turn it the wrong way?
No. Do you want me to turn it down some more?
Yeah, you might want to turn it down just a tad.
How's this?
I don't know. Can you just tell me about Halo?
Okay, so
it's better, I think.
So I don't know. I'm kind of enjoying it so far, but they totally fucked with the. Have you ever played a Halo game?
No, man. I am what they call like a true fanboy of Sony. I've tried to play Xbox games at friends' houses and stuff, and I just can't stand the controller. So I've never played Halo. I've never really had an opportunity to play it. I've seen video of people playing Halo. I've seen screen grabs. I've seen YouTube videos of people doing the deathmatch, the Halo stuff online. Never seen the campaign of Halo ever.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just like a fantastical, like first-person shooter, sci-fi kind of like epic man versus the world sort of thing, right? And it's always been cool because like the setting's really cool, the enemies are really cool, the story's cool, the music is always really good, but it's always been like this single player first person shooter. You just drop in, it's just you, and you kind of go through and you do all these missions as kind of this like Lone Ranger sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, in Halo 5 Guardians is what it's called, they changed the formula to where they turned it into like a team-based co-op thing, to where it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, it's still you can still play it as a single player campaign, and there's still all the cutscenes, and it's still very polished and everything. But it's like, because it was built so that you could have 3 other people play with you, the whole story wraps around how you have this squad with you while you're playing. And so like as you're running around, now you have these 3 AI people just kind of following you everywhere and shooting stuff. You know how in multiplayer games you can like go down, and then as long as somebody gets to you in time, they can revive you.
I'm with you. Yeah.
So they have that shit in there too. But it's like, okay, like, so I just like go down and then I can call for one of the AI people to come over and like revive me and stuff. And I don't know. It's just like it's still interesting. I've only, I'm not very far into it. I think I'm on like the 3rd mission or whatever, but it's like, why would you take something that is,
essentially works. So like it's made them a ton of money the way it was up through Halo 4, right? And like people, it worked. It was a working thing, but they just overhauled it, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, there was it's a little bit deceiving because there's actually 6 Halo games before Halo 5.
Jesus.
There was Halo 1, 2, 3, 4, but then between 3 and 4, there was Halo 3 ODST and Halo Reach. The first 5 were all made by Bungie, and then 6 was made by 343 Studios, which is Microsoft's new team that's handling Halo, because Bungie went off to make Destiny. And then the newest one, Halo 5, is now made by 343 as well. And I'm just like looking at it, like, I don't know what, like, I get that multiplayer gaming is like big now, and there's a bandwagon going on there and all that, but like, this game has always had like a really solid single player experience along with a really solid multiplayer experience. And those things were kind of exclusive to one another. But in this game, they're just like, hey, let's make this campaign, but let's make it obviously built around doing it with co-op. And then you can just do it solo if you want. Like, it's not as bad as like a Destiny where you have to be connected to the internet and you're running around and all these other people are jumping all over the place, even though you can play it by yourself. But it's still like, I mean, I'm trying to think. I know there have been other games before that are like this, where it's like, you have the like Army of Two. I don't know if you've ever played that game, is an example of like,
I know of it, but I've never played it.
Yeah, the whole game is like you and one other guy. Like the story revolves around 2 guys, and it's meant to be a co-op thing, 2 people playing together. But if you want to play it by yourself, that's fine. It's exactly the same. But the AI controls the other character while you're going through the whole thing. And it just, it takes you out of it a little bit, having like these AI fucking characters running all over the place doing dumb shit, and like I said, I've only played 2 missions and there's probably, I don't know, 10 or 12 of them. So maybe it gets better, whatever. The story and everything seems pretty polished and everything seems nice, but I don't know. The gameplay part of it's a little bit, as far as that goes, is a little bit disappointing, but that's kind of what I've been playing recently. I haven't been playing much of anything else. And I'll be honest, like I'm not the biggest fan of the Xbox controller. I will say that it might be better than the PS4 controller for first-person shooters. I'm not gonna lie. It's just
I've heard the argument. Yeah,
that's what it was designed for. So, like, back to the original Halo on the first Xbox, like that's I don't know. I mean, I get it though. Like, Sony's come a long way. The DualShock 4 is way better for first-person shooters than the DualShock 3 was. The DualShock 3 was fucking awful for playing shooters compared to the Xbox controller. I know, like, you get used to it, and especially if you're steeped in that ecosystem, you think it's totally fine. The DualShock 4 is a lot better. I still think that the Xbox controller is a little bit better, but I don't know. Maybe the DualSense, it looks like the DualSense is getting a little bit bigger and a little bit, kind of rounder and stuff. So it could be that the DualSense controller for PS5 is going to take it even closer and make it an even better controller for that kind of experience. I hope so.
Yeah, well, my issue with the Xbox controller is always that it just seemed unnecessarily large. And I've got pretty big hands. I mean, I'm a guitar player. I've got like a 7-fret stretch technically. I mean, but I mean, it still just seems like it's a little much. It's like, come on, guys. Now, if you're a listener right now and you're pissed off because we're talking about Xbox and playing Halo, just mind your own, because we're going to talk about them here a little bit more. We're going to talk about Microsoft a little more here later on the show. It is pertinent. Our show, we make up the rules, we do what we want. But no, thanks, Jake. Yeah, that's crazy. I've never really played much Xbox stuff, and I was actually disappointed today earlier because G.I. Joe Operation Blackout is coming out soon, and they were offering like some sort of stuff on the side, whatever. I don't know what game studio's even making it, but I read something and it was like available on PC and Xbox Series X and Xbox One. That's all it said. But then I went to the game studio site and they had a picture of the PS4 case and it says available on PS4. So who knows? Maybe this acquisition somehow screwed up G.I. Joe Blackout. I doubt it. I don't know. I can't. It couldn't have.
I mean, does it really matter? It's going to be bad.
It matters.
I'll tell you what. You could probably just play it on PC. Oh, you don't. Is it coming out for Mac at all? Or
no.
Steam? Is it going to be on Steam?
Yeah, probably, but I can't play that on Mac. I have to have like a Windows boot to do it. Yeah, I know. And what sucks is, here's a little FYI to the audience. I have this Mac now that I bought for my home studio for recording music, and we use it to podcast on and all this other stuff. And I was like, you know what? I've never played the first Witcher or the second Witcher, and I bought them at this really good deal on Steam. They were Mac capable. Well, Mac did some sort of security update to the latest OS, and it will not run applications that run at less than 32 bits or something. I don't know what it even means. It's the way it's coded or something. But the 2 Witcher games that I bought that were working on my Mac no longer work. So I can't even access them to play it without installing some sort of boot up for Windows on this computer. And I'm not going to screw with that because I can't afford having this computer screw up, not be able to record stuff. So
wait, you're saying that Mac no longer supports 32-bit applications?
I'll tell you,
64-bit?
I'll tell you in 1 second.
That's fucking obnoxious.
Well, hold on.
I know that's there's still so many applications that are 32-bit only.
You don't have to tell me. Hold on. Are you still there?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to pretend like I'm going to launch The Witcher. I click it. It says your current Mac is unable to run 32-bit applications. This game may not run. Use a boot camp to install Windows, and you can play it that way, or just play it on a PC is essentially what Steam's telling me. Oh, God damn, it makes me so mad. Yeah, so the latest update is it only allows Mac to run 64-bit applications. So some of the shit I had on my computer, even some of the audio plugins that I was running that were 32-bit that would run through Logic don't work now. And it's so agitating. It's so agitating. So I lost both my Witcher games. So I understand the need to jump to a different thing, that you're not a traitor for having an Xbox and playing Halo. But I mean, if I had the opportunity to play The Witcher 1 and 2 on any medium possible right now, I'd probably jump that route and do it. So we know Halo's only available on Xbox. So that's cool that you're playing through them. And did you order an Xbox? Did you pre-order one? One of the new ones?
No. I kind of figured that, like, because Microsoft has been pretty vocal about the fact that most of their, at least for the foreseeable future, all of their titles are going to be playable on Xbox One. So I figured, I mean, I don't play Xbox other than, like, if there's something on Game Pass that I want to play, or...
Well, I'm surprised you didn't jump into Wasteland 3.
Well, and I might still. That might be something that I play in this drought because, I mean, to be honest with you, being as how it doesn't look like there's going to be any fucking PS5s available for the foreseeable future, I'm probably going to be playing my Xbox a lot over the next few months. I'll probably jump into some Wasteland. And typically a lot of those games are, like, a lot of the games that I'm going to talk about, with the exception of Halo, are games that are going to be, like, games
available on the PlayStation.
They're third-party games that are available on both consoles. So it's literally a moot point, other than the fact that I'm holding a different controller.
Sure. So,
that's kind of where I'm at with it.
For all intents and purposes, you are correct. But you were saying how you probably weren't even going to get a PS5. And I'm going to segue into the first news topic is, I don't want to over talk about the PlayStation 5 stuff and about the pre-orders. We had a big conversation about that, Jake. But Push Square, which is where I get a lot of my news, a lot of things that we talk about on the shows, pushsquare.com, they were saying that PS5 pre-orders may not actually all get fulfilled until 2021. So even if you have a pre-order locked in right now, they are saying that you may not actually get your unit until 2021, which is kind of a bummer.
I heard that even some retailers are actually canceling pre-orders because they finally figured out how many Sony's going to get them. It's possible that some people out there that have a pre-order may get notified that their pre-order has been canceled because the retailer that they went through realized that, oh, I've got 10,000 pre-orders, but we're only getting 5,000 consoles. So I'm just going to cancel these other 5,000 pre-orders.
Yeah.
And then go from there. I mean, this whole thing is a clusterfuck, and the Xbox stuff hasn't even been better. I mean, their rollout was a little better. They, like, pre-orders didn't go live until they said they were going to go live on, like, PS5, which was just a fucking free for all. But still, I mean, they sold out almost immediately everywhere. Like, there's, like, people don't know when they're going to be able to get the consoles. They're being really cagey about, like, how many consoles are actually going to be available this fall.
We don't even know how backwards compatibility is going to work yet on the PS5. Well, you're talking about Xbox, but I'm just thinking about the PlayStation side of things. It's like, we haven't really seen anything about the new PlayStation. Like, we don't really know much about it.
I think they've said 99% of games are going to be backwards compatible.
Are going to be, like, eventually or at launch? And how does that work?
That I don't know. I imagine at launch, but I don't know. I mean, it could be that, like,
if you've bought it on the PS Store, then you can just play it on the PS5.
Yeah, I'm assuming there's going to be a PS4 store on the PS5, or the PS4 games will be available on the PS5 store.
Yeah, I would hope.
It's really hard to tell.
I would expect shit not to work for the first week.
Dude, remember when you sent me, I don't know, I guess it was last week, I think, you sent me a text message that was like, with an article that was like, GameStop is going to have in-store orders.
I got that from our listener, LJ. Yeah. He sent it to me. He goes, dude, give this to Jake. He's trying to get a PS5. I said,
So when you told me that, when you sent that to me, I literally... The minute GameStop opened, I called them, and the phone was literally busy for, like, the whole hour after they were open. And so I just was like, fuck it. I mean, I'm not going to – like, if I couldn't get through in the first 45 minutes, chances are they don't have pre-orders left.
Yeah, and they're just on the phone telling people, we don't know when we're going to get them. We don't know when it's going to happen again. They're already sold out. But the thing is like, even if you get a PS5 on day one – what are the chances of the PlayStation Store being up and running, working perfectly? What are the chances? Like, you probably won't even be able to sign into the network to be completely into the PSN. It's going to be such a shit show But
I don't know, man.
I'm excited.
Unless there's a hack, I think it'll be fine. I mean, the PS4 launched totally fine. There was no problems with the store, no problems with the OS. I mean,
I don't know.
No problems with the consoles.
But they're trying to do more now, right? They're trying to do more.
Yeah, I get it. I guess I get it. And it's possible that maybe there are some issues with the fact that everyone worked remotely for so long and all that, maybe caused some bugginess or whatever. But the issues that they're having is with hardware delivery. I don't think that they've mentioned any issues with, the OS programming or the network programming or anything like that.
Yeah, so, we haven't seen the UI yet on it. We don't know what that's going to look like. Maybe they're just going to say, we're not going to show any of this shit to you. It's just going to be a big surprise when you open the box and plug it in and see what it's all about. That would be interesting.
I mean, I was pretty cautiously optimistic throughout the whole summer about being able to get one of these, but after like this pre-order rollout and stuff, I'm just basically resigning myself to not being able to get a PS5 until next year, maybe not even until Q2 of next year.
Yeah.
March or April or something.
Well, there's plenty of shit to play in the PS4 right now. I just wonder how it'll work. Like, let's say you have a PS5 and you're playing Call of Duty 4, and I have a PS4 and I'm playing Call of Duty 4. Can we play online together?
I think it'll depend if those games are like, I don't know if cross-play is not the right word, but like...
but they're both running on Sony platforms.
Well, sure, but they're different versions of the game. Like if you have the native... I would love to think that you're correct, right? That going forward, all of these companies that are making these games are going to make it so that the PS4 version plays with the PS5 version or whatever. But it's really hard to know. It's entirely possible that because they're two different consoles and two different versions of the game, that at least initially some of them maybe won't be able to play with each other. But I have a feeling that it's probably going to be, for the most part, that's probably going to be the case, that you'll be able to play with each other.
Well, there is a lot of speculation that there's a possibility that if you have PS4 saves and you're playing your PS4 game on an upgraded PS5 game, let's say The Witcher is getting an upgrade, right? A visual overhaul, The Witcher 3 for the PS5, it's going to be free for you. Let's say you get it, you get the updated version of The Witcher, you put in your PS5, there's a chance that your PlayStation 4 save is not going to work on that game.
Yeah, that's
interesting.
That's tough. I mean, for a lot of games, I wouldn't give a shit,
but for a game that's like 200 hours, yeah, geez.
But something like The Witcher, where it's like, let's say you beat the campaign on your PS4, and then it's like, oh, I'll jump over to the PS5 before I start doing like all of my post game stuff and side quests and New Game Plus or whatever.
Or even if you want to play it on Death March, because I want to play it on Death March, and you don't unlock that until you beat the game originally. So in order to play it on Death March on the PS5, I've ever been off to beat The Witcher 3 again on regular mode just to get the Death March on the PS5 version to beat it on Death March. But that's just crazy town. I hope it works. I just hope it works. I don't know, dude. I don't know.
It'll probably be depending on the game. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah,
I don't imagine.
That CD Projekt Red, I would hope that somehow they have something figured out on that. But yeah, I mean, other games too. Who knows? But talking about those PS4 games, upgrade to PS5 games, all that stuff. So there's all kinds of crap going on about the Spider Miles Morales thing and how you get the remastered version of the regular Spider-Man for PS5. Currently, I believe if you own the PlayStation 4 Spider-Man game, you can play it on the PS5, but it's not the remastered version. To get the remastered version, the only way to get the remastered version on the PS5 is you have to buy Miles Morales and then pay the additional $20 to get the PS5 Spider-Man remastered. Or the other option would be to get the Spider-Man Miles Morales Ultimate Edition for $70 to get the original Spider-Man remastered on the PS5. And there's no way to buy it standalone for the PS5, I don't believe.
That seems kind of silly. I mean, it's just sort of like instead of giving you a free upgrade, they're just letting you play the backwards compatible version, or you have to buy it.
Yeah, it's weird.
Or something. I mean, it's kind of silly, but
there's a lot
I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of crap about that. And then just recently, they released some pretty amazing footage from the remaster for the original Spider-Man, but they overhauled Peter Parker's face. He has a brand new face, and there's all kinds of backlash. Apparently, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but his name is Brian Intihar, maybe, responded on Twitter about the backlash. And he pretty much just said, hey, man, with the new tech, we needed to play to the new system's capabilities, and it wasn't a decision they took lightly, but moving forward, this is the Peter Parker they envisioned. So anyways, to all the haters out there, I don't care what Peter Parker looks like. You know, if the game's a game, who cares I guess maybe some people got attached to that character and the way he looked, but I mean, Nathan Drake looks different in every single game. So I don't know. I don't have an opinion on it. Are you looking at the thing?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
He looks good. I think the new version looks good.
Yeah, I mean, he looks younger. I think I prefer the PS4 version. I'm not gonna lie, but I don't think that it's
not game breaking
that big of a deal. You know, it looks like they definitely look different. Like, it doesn't look like the same Peter Parker, but like up-resed and a little bit more realistic.
No,
like,
they just changed.
Look like different fucking models.
Looks like a different person.
Which that I don't understand. Like, why didn't you just take the same model and then kind of like make it look more realistic? Why did you completely change the fucking look of the character? Because like when he says that they wanted to take advantage of the new tech or whatever, it's like then why didn't you just make the old one look better?
He has a way more Tom Holland look now. Like the guy who plays Spider-Man in the movies looks a lot like him.
Yeah.
Looks more like him than the former version.
And that could be part of it. I mean, it's entirely possible.
Yeah. Who also, Tom Holland is supposed to be playing young Nathan Drake in the Nathan Drake movie. So
maybe they'll make Drake look like fucking Tom Holland in the upgraded version of Spider-Man.
God. See, now that would kind of piss me off. I'd be very pissed off if they're like, well, it's not really Tom Holland. It's like Drake just got older. Drake's like, say he's like 60 now in the new game. They were like, well, it just looks like if Tom Holland was 60. Like it doesn't like they don't even keep Drake. They just want to make it kind of look like Tom Holland. Anyways, I'll shut up. But hey, Jake, there was a lot of big news about Microsoft. I promised the listeners we'd talk more about them. I'm sure they're stoked about it. But they did have a big acquisition. They acquired Zenimax Studios. Through that, they acquired Arcane Studios, Machine Game Studios, Zenimax, Bethesda, id Software, Tango Gameworks, Alpha Dog, and Roundhouse Studios, which is a huge acquisition. They paid like $7 billion. And everyone was talking about how that's more than what Disney paid for Star Wars. So yeah. I don't know if they're going to – I mean, they say the games industry makes more money than the movie industry.
I believe it.
So, I mean, I'm sure they did some number crunching and they just decided this is what was best for them. Now, the thing that kind of agitates me – well, granted, you and I would probably both agree that Bethesda really hasn't been on their best – they haven't really put their best foot forward lately with their games. And we know that Starfield is something they're working on. That game could still be shit. We don't know what that game is. And people are like, oh, yeah, no, we're not going to get Starfield. No, we're not. You know, but you don't even know what the game is. Like, it could suck. Chances are it won't suck. It'll probably be okay. But, I mean, the latest Fallout 76 was kind of garbage. Now, the ones that bother me the most is id and Machine Games. That's kind of disappointing to see that those might turn into being exclusives for Microsoft, or at least timed exclusives. And a lot of people are making the argument, Jake, that why would Microsoft buy all these studios if their intent was to just still release them on their competition's consoles? They tote the whole thing like, hey, we want you to be able to play anywhere, and they might get like some residuals, you know, from the sales. But if they really want to drive people to buy their console, this is probably the best way to do it, is to keep them exclusive. What's your take?
Here's why I believe that everyone is fucking wrong, at least to a portion, or at least like they might not be 100% wrong, but they're at least a little bit wrong. Because so I love pretty much all of the studios that ZeniMax Media owns. I mean, I don't really have a whole lot to say about ZeniMax Online. I mean, The Elder Scrolls Online is fine. I've played it some, but it's not like, you know, my favorite thing. I have a lot of love for Bethesda game studios. Fallout 76 is a fucking pile of dumpster trash. But even like Fallout 4, was, even though it was kind of like a reskin of Fallout 3 with like a new story and stuff, it was still like a good game. It just was kind of dated.
Yeah.
Obviously, Skyrim, Elder Scrolls Oblivion, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas. These are like some of my favorite games of all time. And like Skyrim, especially in Oblivion. And then obviously we talked about machine games. The reboots of Wolfenstein are absolutely fucking amazing.
Fantastic games.
Id's reboots of Doom are absolutely fucking amazing. Tango Gameworks is another one that I'm like super into because the Evil Within games are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So, and they're doing that Ghostwire Tokyo game, which I
did they do Dishonored?
What's that?
Who did Dishonored? That's Bethesda.
So,
Arcane, okay.
So like Arcane is another studio. I love the Dishonored games, and I'm interested in the new Deathloop game. So like literally almost everything that Bethesda puts out, almost. There's some, they, like I said, they have some shit, but almost everything that they put out, I'm at least interested in, if not outright enjoy. But anyway, the reason why I think that most people are blowing this out of proportion is because I truly believe that Microsoft is still going to release all of their major titles on PS5. And I tell you why. Because one, they already do it. There are already a bunch of Microsoft games, games from studios that Microsoft owns that are being released on PS5 and supported on PS4 and supported on PS4 already. Like Minecraft is the biggest one of them all.
Sure,
Microsoft owns that, right? So, but I think that it's going to be, I think that the thing that people aren't thinking about is what they're going to do is the way that they're going to draw you to Xbox as opposed to PS5. Yeah, if you have PS5, right, you can buy the newest version, the newest Elder Scrolls game. You can buy Starfield, for example, right? But it's going to cost you $70 to buy it to play on PS5. But if you have an Xbox and you have Game Pass, you just play it for free for $10 a month. All Microsoft first party games are available on Game Pass the day they come out. So I can go out like you know, when the next Halo comes out, for example, because I have Game Pass on my Xbox One, I can literally, the day it comes out, I can play it for that $10 a month I pay or whatever.
Which is like $120 a year, which now if games are $70 a game, that is for less than the price of 2 games.
Exactly. It's a fucking steal. That's why Microsoft is killing it with, the only reason I own an Xbox One is because of Game Pass. I'm not going to ever buy a game for Xbox. If I'm going to buy a game, I'm going to buy it for PlayStation. But that's what I really think they're going to do is they're going to be like, okay, you know, we'll still release Doom 3 or whatever the fuck they're going to call it on PS5, but you can play it day one for the $10 a month you're already spending on Xbox Series X without, you know, having to pay any extra money for it. And so, you know, that's going to just exponentially drive the value of Xbox Game Pass through the roof.
It is enticing, man.
It's just so high with that right now. And with the Bethesda catalog, they're jacking it up even higher. So I don't know, man. I think that they're playing a sneaky game, and I think that it's pretty savvy. I mean, they could do, because if Sony bought Bethesda, they would fucking lock it down. There would be no way that shit would be on Xbox or it would be on Nintendo or anything.
It's out of reach. It was out of reach for them. There's no way they could afford it.
Sure. But like Microsoft, I mean, they're talking about bringing Xbox Live to Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
So like they're more open to putting their software on other platforms, but they're just being like, hey, if you want the best value and the most powerful console,
get our system. Yeah.
Get our system. Otherwise, you can pay all this extra money and play it on your system. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense, at least from my perspective.
It's that Bill Gates money.
Yeah, but I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, they could totally lock it down, and it could be that, you know, all that shit is locked behind the Xbox curtain forever now. But I have a feeling that they're gonna.
Well, here's the thing.
Do it.
They now have $7 billion less than what they had. So you would think that they would try to, wherever they can, to generate income from these games. And, you know, like you were saying, like it might be a timed release. I can't imagine a studio like Bethesda or a studio like id Software are going to be like, you know what? we don't really want to have our games available to people who play PlayStation. Like, they want their games to be played by as many gamers as possible. So part of this deal they probably agreed to, like, okay, we'll do timed exclusives with with Microsoft, but eventually if we want our stuff on other platforms, you guys, are going to be willing to do that. It might be something like that. I'm with you, Jake, on this. So I was posting on Reddit about this when this happened, and people were all having conniptions. Like, yeah, but there's no way that Microsoft isn't going to try to make money off these games elsewhere. It's stupid to not do that, rather.
Especially because, the other thing that people don't think about too is that, like, Sony and Microsoft, they make very little money on the consoles.
It's all software.
All of their money on software. So, like, especially with the hardware drought right now and everything, with the new consoles and everything, who gives a fuck if they sell it on another console? They don't have to worry about making that hardware now and making, like, they're probably making like maybe a 5% profit on every console that they sell, but they're making like a 75% profit on every game that they sell. So,
right. Especially digital sales.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, if they sell it on PS5, Sony's going to take their cut. But at the same time, it's like Microsoft's still making a killing because they own that studio. It's not like
think about it, like,
with the developer.
Every game that's owned by any of these studios that you buy now on the PlayStation Store, that money, some of it's getting funneled straight to Microsoft. So, yeah, they're really chipping away at Sony in a way that this is really business smart, I think. And, it doesn't really make Sony look bad because this was something that Sony couldn't do anything. They can't do anything about this. They just have to keep doing whatever they're doing. Now, what they could do is maybe answer to Microsoft Game Pass and be like, okay, guys, all of our first party games are going to be on, this PlayStation, whatever they called it. I forget what the collection or whatever, the PS Plus collection, just to answer back. And I think PS Plus is significantly cheaper than Games Pass. It's like $60 a year, but they might jack the price up and say, okay, here's our answer. $10 a month, get all of our games.
I doubt they'll do that though, because Sony still has the advantage. Like, they have no reason to do all this shit. Like, they have better games and they have, the more popular console. So they literally have no reason to do something like that. And until Microsoft forces their hand, they're not going to like this whole PS Plus collection thing is kind of like, I think it's great and I'm glad that they're doing it, but I think it's literally just like a half-hearted, like, political move for Sony to be like, look, we've got something like that too. Oh, and all of the games on our list are better. They're maybe not as numerous, but they're all better than the ones that are on the Microsoft list.
Yeah.
So, they do have some advantages.
A lot of the games are like,
they don't have to do that.
Yeah, like 10 out of 10s on that Plus collections. Like,
it's pretty incredible. Yeah,
like just straight up masterpiece rated games. All right, well, moving on. I'm glad we touched on that. But yeah, so like Jake said, some of the studios of those studios on that purchase, they make Dishonored, Wolfenstein, Doom, Elder Scrolls, Fallout. And like I said, Starfield, we don't know what Bethesda's doing with Starfield. It could suck. Evil Within. Prey was another one I don't think we mentioned. But moving on, Neil Druckmann, the guy from The Last of Us, the guy who was responsible for that bad boy, is encouraging gamers to have patience. He has been quoted as saying The Last of Us 2 multiplayer will be worth the wait. So you and I both loved The Last of Us multiplayer. I am very excited to see what The Last of Us 2 multiplayer is going to be. And I wonder if we're going to see a Last of Us 2 for the PS5. That's a game I would replay on the PS5 hands down right away. I'm ready to dive back into it.
Yeah, I guarantee you there'll be a Last of Us 2 port on PS5, or at least definitely like an up-res or something, My only concern about the multiplayer is I'm sure it's going to be great. The reason why I played the Last of Us multiplayer, like the factions multiplayer for the original Last of Us, was because I was still so enthralled with the game. Like, I played the game and then I jumped right into the multiplayer because it was really cool and I was still into the game.
Yeah.
I'm going to be so far removed from The Last of Us by the time that the multiplayer comes out.
Yeah, it's still going to be so good though.
I'm sure it's going to be great. I hope it's something they seem like they're being really ambitious with it. It really depends on what it is. I don't really know what it's going to be. Multiplayer games are a really tough sell for me. And the Last of Us factions from the first Last of Us game was a really special thing. Not many games can do that. And it's even possible that even the next Last of Us won't be able to draw me in like the first one did. But I'm excited to see what it is. I have a feeling it could be something really great, but I don't know. I mean,
what if it's like open world survival or something?
But the thing is that like I'm sure like The Last of Us, they could do their Naughty Dog thing and they could jazz it up and they can make it really good.
Yeah.
But the open world survival shit has been fucking played to death over the past 5 or 6 years.
If you're thinking like battle royale style, yeah, that would kind of be boring.
I mean, even not battle royale. If you're talking about stuff like, oh god, now I'm blanking on. There's like literally a metric shitload of these games, like Ark Survival and freaking
the Predator game.
What's that?
The Predator game, wasn't that kind of? No, I guess it's not.
No, yeah. When I say survival, I don't mean like
like Don't Starve kind of games.
Yeah, well, it's actually kind of like battle royale, but it's like the goal.
It's such a niche thing.
But the goal is to like just survive. You can keep spawning into the world, right? It's not like a match, right? You can keep spawning into the world, but the whole goal is to like find resources and build a base and try to live as long as you can. But you don't have to like battle royale. There's like a goal and the map keeps shrinking and it's like a true competitive experience. Whereas like when I'm thinking of an open world survival game, I'm thinking of like it's literally a server that everyone can jump into and it's just like permadeath. Like you just try to survive. And if someone comes across you, they can either help you or hurt you or like,
right.
There's a lot of games like that. And I could see it being something like that. And I think they could do something really cool with that in The Last of Us
special
universe.
And interesting, but jumping into it.
Yeah.
Now.
I just hope they don't. I don't know. I just hope they don't jump the shark with it is all. That's all I ask for.
Yeah.
I think put their flair on it, but just don't fucking jump the shark with it.
I think they'll be good. I think it's going to be great. And if Neil Druckmann, of course, he's got to say whatever he's going to say because he's leading that team and leading that game. And he's got to be positive about it. I'm kind of excited to see what this next game, I think they're working on a brand new IP right now. I don't know. I think I've heard rumors, but Jake, do you remember a while back when they were showing all those PS5 games off? Remember that one with the cat that was just walking with on like the robot city and stuff?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
They have a website up now and they were talking more about that game. And I thought it was one of those games that interested you and I. So I was going to talk about it real quick. So apparently the game's called Stray. We talked about it. We weren't really sure what it was about. It was like this cat just walking around like this robot city. The game's website now indicates lost, alone, and separated from family, a stray cat must untangle an ancient mystery to escape a long-forgotten city. Features include explore Cyber City, defend against unforeseen threats and solve mysteries, be stealthy, and befriend a droid, which is a flying drone named B12, which is not the vitamin, but I thought it seemed kind of interesting. So there might be more of like a stealth game for the cat, but it looked like a 2D platformer almost. I don't know what the hell it is, but the game still has my attention because it looked beautiful. I don't know. I didn't know if you were interested. Like, I don't know when
it's called Stray.
Stray, yeah. So I don't know exactly. There wasn't really a whole lot more to it, but at least it fills in some of the missing pieces of the video that we all saw when they were talking about the PlayStation 5 games. The game looks good, like I said. The robots seemed really interesting. So I don't know. I don't know who they're trying to appeal to here. It's kind of maybe like a puzzle platformer with stealth. I don't know, where you get a drone.
We'll have to see how. Honestly, what's going to make or break this game is how it plays. Because I think the premise is really interesting, and I like the environment a lot. Yeah,
the environment is what sucked me in.
But I think it's really, like I said, how it plays is going to be the make or break for me.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. All right. Well, there's always sales on the PS Store, Jake, and it's no different now. Sony's having a sale on the PSN called Games of a Generation. It includes Ghost of Tsushima, Borderlands 3, Lost Legacy, Fallen Order, Blasphemous, etc. Check that out if you guys are looking to pick up something new before the imminent release of the PS5, or if you're just looking for something. Jake, if I had to pick a few games that are on sale right now on the store, and I mean, if I were really chomping at the bit to pick up a game, the Castlevania Collection, $7.99 right now. Watch Dogs 2 is $11.99. The Witcher 3 I already have, but if you don't have it, it's $11.99. And then there's that game A Way Out, which I always wanted to play, but it does require 2 players. That game is now $10.49. Those are all probably pretty safe picks. I haven't played Watch Dogs 2, but if you're looking for like an open world game that's really probably going to consume a lot of your time, same with The Witcher. They're both $12 a piece right now in the store. Speaking of games, Jake, we are getting the PlayStation Plus games for October. They've announced the one I'm kind of excited about. It's called Vampire. And the other one is Need for Speed Payback. Any opinions on those? You think you'll try Vampire?
I might actually try both of these games. I actually was in the mood for a arcade racer not that long ago, and I used to play a lot of the Need for Speed games. From what I understand, they've all been kind of like mediocre over the past few years, and I can't remember. There was one that was like, over the past 5 years or so, there was one that scored a lot better than the others. And I can't remember if it was Payback or Rivals. I mean, even if it's kind of bad, those games are just kind of fun to just rip around and play. You know, it's like those racing games. You don't use the brake at all. You just fucking run into the walls and shit like that.
It's like the Wipeout games. Those are a blast.
Yeah, they're just, I mean, they can just be fun. And Vampire, I've heard a lot of really good things about. So
is it an RPG? Is it first person? Is it third person?
I think it's...
I don't even know what studio made Vampire. I know it's interesting. The game is super interesting to me, and I know so little about it. So it's got a 90% on 90% like this game. It's got a 7 out of 10 on Steam, a 70% on Metacritic, and a 7 out of 10 on IGN. Designed by I don't know what this is. Oh, Don't Nod Entertainment and Saber Interactive released Vampire. I don't know if it's.
I think it's like a third person game. I'm looking at some screenshots.
It looks third person. It looks kind of like how The Evil Within looks when you play it. It's a kind of dark and gritty looking. It's low light. I think the premise is that a flu breaks out. You kind of try to save civilization, but you're also a vampire, so you're tempted to like just eat people. So I don't know. I think there's actually a story to it. So it looks interesting, and I'll probably try it. So
it looks like there's some like RPG elements to it as well.
Yeah, I think there are. Yeah. But if those games don't float your boat, September 28th, today is the 29th. So these games, today's the 30th, my bad. Where does the time go? There's a game, Jake, that came out, developed on Unity Engine by developer MiHoYo, Genshin Impact, a free-to-play open-world action RPG. And apparently this game has been compared to Zelda Breath of the Wild, and they are saying it is exceeding all expectations. It's free to play. It's an open world RPG, and they say it's amazing. People are going nuts about this game right now.
Huh. It's like a Japanese game, right?
Yeah, and it looks
the name is
beautiful.
Genshin,
yeah, it looks beautiful. So I'm actually my curiosity's peaked with this one because it's got such high praise right now. I don't know, man. That's something to look into. That came out on the 28th, so that just came out. We have another game that came out called Kukiyomi Consider It. Another game called The Hunter, Call of the Wild, 2021 edition, Undead Darlings, No Cure for Love. Yesterday, The Walking Dead Onslaught, which I think is an expansion to Saints and Sinners on PSVR, came out. And then October 2nd, in just a couple days, Jake, we are getting Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, and Star Wars Squadron. So that's the game that has my complete attention to Star Wars Squadron. I was looking at the Flight HOTAS sticks, and I sent you a thing on one. They're actually selling out everywhere. People can't find them because of this game, like the ones compatible with PS4. Everyone's getting their flight sticks for Squadron for VR. And man, if I didn't have like a mortgage to pay and bills, and if I didn't just pre-order a PS5 and I didn't just kickstart Hero Quest online, I probably would have picked up a flight stick for this Squadron game. But I am going to pick this game up because it looks sick. Jake, any opinion on any of those games?
Squadron, I mean, Crash Bandicoot, I never really was I wouldn't say I'm not a Crash Bandicoot fan. I just never played them.
Yeah, me either. It kind of like... It was an older game for like I was too old. Like they didn't appeal to me at my age when they came out. Go ahead.
Yeah, that stuff started on PS1 and I played N64 back then. So I did more of like the Mario and Banjo-Kazooie and all that kind of stuff. And then, now that we're older or whatever, you go back and you play the OG Crash Bandicoot, and it's kind of fucking hard to play. If I was going to play a mascot platformer, I'd rather play Ratchet and Clank. So I never really got into Crash Bandicoot. Squadrons looks awesome. It's one of those games I'm going to wait till it comes out and kind of see how it does and everything before I decide to pick it up. But I'm definitely interested in it. I hope that they deliver with what they've been kind of selling, because all of the promotional material has looked really good.
I think it's going to be awesome. I think the first Bandicoot came out in 1996 based on the internet.
That sounds right.
I would have been 15 or 16 years old then. So I was kind of doing punk rock pretty heavily at that point and not really worried about Crash Bandicoot. But I probably would frequent the local Zappers from time to time. But so that's all I got for the show, Jake. But I did want to throw something at the listeners. I've been slowly getting back into the board gaming world, mainly like Descent, and there's this old game called Hero Quest, and I just talked about how I backed it. Hero Quest came out when I was a kid. Me and the local neighborhood kids at the apartment complex would get together and play Hero Quest. And it was literally like the first true iteration of a dungeon crawling game. It was released by Milton Bradley, and it is now the IP is owned by Hasbro. And there's all kinds of funny videos about Hero Quest. There's a guy named The Bard, and he talks about the best thing about Hero Quest are the doors. And he says all these different – the game came with a bunch of furniture and a bunch of different stuff. But ultimately, you were 4 warriors, and you went through this dungeon. As you traverse the dungeon on the board, the game master would slowly reveal what your heroes could see. So if you turn a corner, then you could see, well, okay, there's a couple doors here I can go in, or there's a monster in this room. I didn't know it was there until I opened the door and walked in. Now I got to roll dice and fight him. One of those things had a real loose story, but it was really, really entertaining, and it kind of kickstarted my interest into like fantasy games like that. And it was a gateway board game for a lot of gamers my age now. And what they did is they actually, Hasbro is doing like their own Hasbro Pulse. It's HASBROPULSE. And you can go, and they are re-releasing this game with the original quest. And then if you back it at the higher level, you get the 2 expansions with it, all new molds of all the characters. The game board's going to be bigger, all brand new art and everything. And it's actually really exciting. And the crazy thing about this, Jake, they said that they wanted to hit $1 million to make it happen. Now, this is Hasbro, so they essentially truly print money. Like I think they make the Magic the Gathering cards. I think they own those. So every time they make a new card for Magic the Gathering, they just make money. So why they needed to kickstart this game, probably because it's an older game and it feels a little antiquated to play these days, but it's still awesome. They just wanted to gauge interest. So I backed it, and within 24 hours, they were already over $1 million pledged. So it's just insane, the interest for this game. And as I'm talking now, it's at like 1.7 million. And then I don't know if you know the actor Joe Manganiello or whatever his name is.
Name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he was like in True Blood, and I think he might have been in Sons of Anarchy briefly. He's a famous actor, but he's also really famous for being like a D&D nerd. And Conan on the Conan show was like grilling him about his game room and stuff. And he's married to like this really conventionally pretty actress, and like he's a good looking fella. You know, he's really in shape and ripped and stuff. So not your stereotypical nerd, but he's all about D&D. And he hosted the panel for the Hero Quest panel on the Hasbro Con. They call it Pulse Con. And it's all this new Hasbro shit. They do it every year. And he hosted it. And he's actually writing a quest line for Hero Quest. And he was like moderating the panel. And he was just so jazzed about this game getting re-released that if they hit 4 million, that we're going to have access to his special molds of his new bad guy he's making and his new line of quests for the game. If you back it at the higher level, you'll get all that. So if you're interested in that kind of shit, go check it out. Back it, because I want all the cool stuff. So the higher we can get the number, the better off. Dude, it looks awesome. And it's an easy to learn game. So I just wanted to go on a little rant about Hero Quest, because it really it dug its claws into me. And then I became like a nerd after playing this game. Like it wasn't like necessarily Nintendo that did it. It wasn't Atari. It wasn't like video games. It was like this Hero Quest board game. It was so ridiculous and awesome to sit around with. Like, I was probably like 8, 9. And we were playing like this dungeon crawler. It's like Diablo, but on a board, but it was way back in the 90s. So anyways. You played this game once with us, Jake, I think.
Played it a few times, yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool little game.
Yeah, it's neat. It's kind of like D&D Light, which is sort of cool. It makes it a little bit more approachable.
Yeah, you can play a game in like probably 2 hours of Hero Quest. I mean, it's not like Descent where it takes 4 hours to get through one quest.
But, well, it depends who's playing, but yeah.
Correct. All right. Well, anyways, man, Jake, that's all I got. Do you have anything you want to add for the show today? I appreciate you being here today with us. I'm glad we got episode 153 recorded. You good?
The more I look at this Peter Parker comparison, the more it bothers me.
All right, fair enough.
The new Peter Parker looks like the hero's friend who's kind of a wuss, and then like at the end of the story, he gets his courage and then ends up dying anyway, doing something heroic. That's what the new Peter Parker looks like compared to the old Peter Parker.
Let me pull it up. Hold on a second. I looked at it once. I think he looks just like Tom Holland, man. Look up a picture of Tom Holland.
Oh, I agree with you. I just like the way the old one looks better. Anyway, I guess it's really a moot point because I'll get used to either one. It doesn't matter. I mean, by the time I play the next fucking Spider-Man game, because before you said something about this, I couldn't even tell you what the original Peter Parker looked like.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you either.
But then when I pulled it up, I was like, oh, I like the original one better, but it could just be because I'm used to it. By the time I play Spider-Man PS5 or whatever the fuck, I probably Spider-Man 2 or whatever it's going to be.
I
won't even remember what Peter Parker looked like.
Okay, I see the old one.
It'll be fine.
He does look a lot younger. The new one looks a lot younger.
Yeah.
But he looks more real.
Oh, I agree with you. Yeah, he definitely looks better. But like Peter Parker in the games is supposed to be like post-college, like established Spider-Man as an adult. So like they make him look a lot younger in the PS5 version. He almost looks like he's back in high school or college. He doesn't look as established, we'll say, but I'm sure it'll be totally fine.
The thing that's so crazy about it is I didn't realize how unrealistic he looked in the original form until I look at the new version. Like, is that the leap that we're expected to see on PS5? Because I mean that character model looks like a real person pretty much on the new one. One would argue that he looks like a real person in the original game, but the unremastered version. But if you really look at it, I can't put my finger on what makes him look more realistic. Is it the lighting, perhaps?
It probably is. And the other thing too is like they didn't fucking change Miles Morales. Like why? Like
Miles Morales is in the original game too. Spoiler.
Yeah. But like
I didn't think about that.
Like they didn't change his model to take advantage of the new tech or whatever that bullshit excuse was.
Probably because they might have already been working on it.
Could be. Yeah, like I said, it's totally fine.
I think it's the lighting
where it's like it just doesn't make like I don't get the reasoning, and it seems to me like someone was just like, "Oh, I made this new Peter Parker model," and everyone was like, "Oh, that looks so much better. Let's just change it." And then they didn't even think about the fact that everyone was going to be super pissed about it.
Well, Jake, you're not in the minority here because I checked Push Square and they have a vote going on right now. Out of 3,930 votes, 66% of the people who voted like the original Peter Parker look better. And only 34 like the remastered. Now, hopefully that it's not just a lighting thing, because if that's the case and they don't like things looking that realistic, they're not going to enjoy what next gen has to bring. Yeah, I think he looks great. I think the new one looks fantastic. But it is what it is. Like you said, it doesn't even matter. But all right, that's it for the show. We're good. Hey, thanks for tuning in, guys. This has been episode 153 of PS. This is awesome. And I'm going to go a little bit out of the normal closure here, and I'm going to bring in some board games. So like Hero Quest, Hero Escape, and a PS4 game, Helldivers. P.S.
This is awesome.